I just love that music. It's just so soothing to me. I want to go to sleep and dance at the same time. It's awesome.
And that Latina blood in me goes, okay, baby, let's do it. Let's get on it. Let's
I
start working.
love that. Oh, that music just really gets me going. Thank you so much.
Listen,
Whew.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here, Marion. I'm Melinda Cooper. I am living the dream. I love what I do. I love helping people and I love working with people. And the lady beside me is really one of the top of the list for me. Her name is Marion LaSalle. She is my partner in crime. She's my cohort. She is my, let me tell you what's going on. I call her the trampoline. I get to bounce stuff off of her. And you know what? She's always willing to jump in and help me grow a little bit further. Marion LaSalle, owner of Natural Curiosity. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm just curious about everything. That's why they call me naturally curious.
That's right. That's right. And Marion, as an entrepreneur, that's what we've got to do, right? Isn't that part of it? We have to make our mindset. And in the month of August, we're going to be talking about an entrepreneurial, help my words, right, mindset, because not everyone can be an employee and not everyone can be an entrepreneur. I'm a firm believer that you can give it your best. And if you're willing to focus and make things happen and give yourself a very strict, definite work ethic, then you can be an entrepreneur. But some people, I got to tell you right now, I'm having so many people who are worried about their jobs, who are worried about where do I go next, who are concerned with, I don't have any skills that are marketable, that somebody will want me for. And I'm always surprised at that. So I start with, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I become the little train that can, little train that could, right? So what do you think about that, Marion? Can people get their minds wrapped around the possibility of somebody wanting the skills that they have to share?
Oh, we're our worst critic. Well, who would want to, hire me, or who would want to, partner with me? What do I have to offer? I hear that all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, really? You're God's gift to this world, and you need to get with it. You need to buck up and say, I am fantastic, and you should want to work with me. So if you don't have that, maybe you need to get like a mental coach. I don't know what they call it. Some kind of a coach that can help you with your mindset. Do they have mindset coaches?
You know what? Nowadays they do. I'm gonna put a plug in for somebody right now. There's a lady. Her name is what? Jody Bernberg. Let me help you spell that. I spell it wrong often. BERNB.
Bernberg, BIRNBURG.
Thank
you. Burn. I remember Bernberg.
Okay. So Jody, if you're there, come out and help us, right? And she come out and help. And she does Discover Magnificent You. Now she starts out and she helps people with mindsets and helps them to start getting the idea that what they have to offer is fabulous. And she turns around and lets people know, this is great because you're doing this already. You can do it. You're just taking it literally from one desk to the other.
And sometimes it's a long process and you feel like you really want to be your own boss and you want to go into the entrepreneurial world. And other times you're thrown into it like a lion in, all of a sudden you're just in a cage with a lion. It's like, whoa, what the heck? So I think you need to have the mindset that you should ask for help if you don't have the skills or you don't have the mindset right now. You can get it. You can grow. I'm going to give you an example. I was basically very frustrated because every job I had didn't fit me. Okay, either they didn't have the integrity, that they didn't live up to my standards, okay, or I didn't live up to their standards. My skills it wasn't a fit with the company or whatever. There was a reason that I was not comfortable in every position. And I finally realized I just have to work for myself. But you know what? I didn't have any training to work for myself. So I found myself wanting to watch TV. Oprah was on back then. And so was, a few other shows that I really got. And so next thing you know, I'm spending half my day sitting around watching TV. And then the internet came up, and it was like, oh God, I could get addicted to watching, YouTube videos and Facebook and stuff like that. So I got to the point where I said, all right, Marianne, there's a change has to happen here. You're not going to make any money, and you can't, if you're going to work for yourself, you have to do something, and you don't really want to go get a job. So so I was forced into the entrepreneurial mindset and lifestyle, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I stuck it out, because now I don't need to work for anybody else. Not that they're not any good, or they're if you work for a job, that's fine. If you work
Right,
for corporate
right.
America, I'm sure you've got, all the benefits that you want. But if it's not, or you just got laid off, you need to figure it out.
Well, and Mary, that's really what's shaking the world right now.
Yeah,
Because right
happening.
now that is really shaking the world. I'd hate to tell you how many people I speak to here lately that have been going, Melinda, oh my God, what am I going to do? Help me. Yeah, I don't know. And one more lady, I got to tell you, one more lady tells me, those are just the skills I use at the office. Nobody wants them out here. I'm like, oh, right? When I was in the government, when I was doing work, trust me, there you are simply a cog in the wheel. You are among the millions who work for the government in some form, some place. And when you look at that and consider that avenue, you really do look down your skills, because it becomes so automatic. And here's the trick, folks. It becomes so automatic for something for you to do, right? I'm a writer, and in reality, I can sit down and I can write. Okay, I could write books. I can put together something real quick. Say, look at this, see what you think. I may not be in your tone, but I will give you such an outline that you can take it from there and just put in a little bit of tweaks here and there of your own. And I can write it. Yesterday, I had a client she's really up against the line, and she's like, "Oh, Melinda, I don't know what to do." I said, give me a couple of hours, please, just a couple of hours. So I sat down and I ended up writing her an ebook, a complete ebook, and 25 pages long on the subject, right? What to have, right? And before I left and considered becoming an entrepreneur, I couldn't have done that. Why? Because I had already told myself, I can't do that. I, how would I do that? And I've learned, I've taken classes, I've watched YouTube, I've listened to podcasts, I've listened to audiobooks. I really, in reality, I usually have 3 books at a time, hardbound books, that I'm reading, so that according to what subject I want to cover that day, I pick up my book, I get my highlighter, and I use it. My husband says I use them like I did when I was in college. I highlight, I take notes, I do all that kind of stuff, you know. And when I'm driving down the street, because everybody knows that I live out in Green Acres, so going into town is a good 45-minute drive for me. So even though getting faster because nobody else is on the streets, but when I go into town, I'm still listening. I'm listening, or I'm making my business phone calls. I tell people, Mary, what do I say? I'm in my mobile office, right? So the issue is that we have skills. My son calls them, you got some mad skills, Mom, right? He and I happen to be working side by side during during COVID earlier this year, and everybody gratefully at my home came home. That was my 2 children and my grandchild came home, and we worked here in Green Acres. Everybody brought their own hot spots. Everybody had their own, and so we were making like crazy people. Everybody get their room, get in their area, get in their space, create what your space is going to be. That's your office. So we did all of that, and finally, my son came out. And he says, "I really need some help with this." So my daughter jumps in and she creates a video. I jump in and I start doing different things that I was doing. And all of a sudden, he looked at me and he goes, "Okay, you girls got some mad skills." He says, "I didn't even know that y'all did this." Right. And it's funny because it's things that we now do as a everyday function that people forget. Other people want that, or other people can't do that. And we couldn't originally wrap our minds around, and how many times have you heard it, Marion? I don't have anything that somebody else wants. That's what that automatic is. You're doing it so automatically that you forget it's a mad skill that somebody else needs.
Somebody told me this once, and at first I kind of like poo-pooed it, but then as I think about it more and more, I really agree. So let's say you learned something. You learned something brand new. You never heard it before. If you can turn around now and teach somebody what you just learned, that's a skill.
That's right.
Okay. You don't have to be an expert, or what they would call, what's another word for expert, Melinda? Do you have anything that comes
here lately, I'm going to lean forward and I'm going to act like I'm whispering, right? Here lately, I am tired of hearing the word guru. Okay? The reality is that each of us are experts. Each of us are gurus in what we either one have passion for, because then we're learning it, we're growing it, we're building it, we're developing it, we're doing all the things we have to do to make it work for us, right? So there becomes that expert, there becomes that guru, because we've just done all the massive work,
Well,
right?
it's funny. You remember Ann Landers? Dear Ann Landers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and she had a sister.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby. Now, they weren't really experts. They were housewives, okay? But people would write in and ask them their question, and whatever answer came back, everybody knew that it was like
Golden.
grandma's advice, okay? It wasn't
Golden,
something that you could, take to the bank and say, this is the law, and, everybody, this is going to go into the dictionary. It means this. No, it was more of, let me tell you my advice, okay? So even if you are in that category, you still have skills that people want, okay? You still have it. So don't think that you're an expert because you have a degree and that's the only thing people want, especially now. People want a real live person who cares and can communicate. That's the big thing.
You're absolutely right. 4 years ago, I read an article, and the article said similar. I'm not exact, please don't quote me exactly on it. However, what it did say was that 92%, think about that, of all graduating college, master's, doctorate degrees, you get the idea. We're talking some high education, right? When they get out of college, 90, get ready, 92% do not work in their degree. Do not. Okay. So let's for just a second, I will tell you I have a degree. Okay. And my degree, I'm going to go ahead and say it because everybody loves it, right? My degree is actually in political science, right? I have a degree that specializes in Japanese management and international law. I can run a government campaign. I can tell you about Japanese management and how they work, right? And I can read because I'm a certified NALA paralegal, right? And so I can get in there and with the best of them and actually look at law books and paralegals, and you get all that stuff, right? So technically, that's what my degrees are in. Okay. And I could go on to tell you all the certificates that I have. But here's the trick. I don't use them. I use my social media certifications and education that I use from there. I use all the different things that I have learned since I've walked away from my job. All the new stuff that I have had to learn, I've enjoyed learning, enjoyed growing, right?
So when you got away from your government job, you said to yourself, I want to be an entrepreneur? Or did it just happen? Or how did that come about?
I started when I first got out of the government job. I had already been there for eons, it seems like. I was there for actually 25 plus years. Here's the thing. I left because I looked at my parents who passed recently at that time, and they had given their whole life working for somebody else. They owned a business on the side. We had family businesses, but when it came down to it, they always had a job somewhere else as well as their business. Okay, when I really turned around and looked at it. And I even worked at the businesses, and my father wanted me to run his business, right? Um, so I quit. I walked. I said, I can't. Emotionally, I was no longer ready to be there. I kept trying to figure out how I could throw somebody out of the 8th floor window, and nobody knew it was me. I just knew it was time for me to go.
Time to go.
Yeah, it was like, okay, no, when you're starting to plan that, it's time to go, right?
Jody
And
says she loves your background.
oh, well, thank you, Jody. Jody, there it is. That's how you spell it, folks. Can you?
Birn Berg, Berg.
Okay,
Berg.
everybody look up Jody and look up Discover Magnificent You. She's the one you want to talk to about your mindset, actual training and helping out. So, but anyway, so when I did this, I originally stopped. I just quit the job. I walked out. So then I was like, what am I going to do? Because, when you're going that fast, I was a congressional liaison. You get the idea, right? That's fast. That's furious. You work with people who believe that they're important, forgetting that it's the position and not them. You get the idea. You're just kind of fed up. So I volunteered, and I volunteered, and I volunteered, and I volunteered, and I volunteered, right? And I volunteered. Every time I turned around, I was volunteering somewhere else to volunteer. And I found myself finally, one lady, I won't give you her name, but she finally changed my mind. She gave me a wake-up call. I used to work with the homeless. I used to work with a shelter where they come in and we give them food, we give them clothing, you get the idea. And it was very rewarding. I used to speak Spanish with them. I used to do whatever I need to do to help them. Finally, this lady tells me, she says, oh, I came today knowing that you would be here today. I've been waiting all this time so that I could come and talk to you. And I said, oh, my first thought is I'm really going to help somebody, right? She's looking me out. And she says to me, oh, I got to tell you what happened with the kids. And this is what's going on with my grandkids. And I'm going, wait, yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell her, wait, that's not what we work on. That's just family goodies. And don't misunderstand me. That's needed as well. But I was there in a position trying to help as many people as I could to get the processing done, not the, let's sit down and talk family amily and, oh my God, here's my picture. And right, you get the idea. And I looked at her and I said, well, okay, so how's this moving? A project that we had talked about. And she looked at me and she goes, why should I do anything more? When if I just come here every day, they'll just give it to me. I came home and I told my husband, I said, I want you to know that I am going to give every volunteer place, my 2 weeks notice. And he said, why? You like volunteering? And I said, because my mission in life and what I believe God is calling me to do, I said, is to give a hand up, not a hand out. Do you hear that statement? I believe I was called to give a hand up, not a handout. So my policy became right then and there, I declared it as I'm going to help people learn how to fish and not just feed them for the day.
That is a perfect example of how America went downhill very fast. We were giving, and not expecting anything in return. And it did. It really, it hurt us. We're realizing it now, but it's a little late, don't you think?
Well, it's
if everybody could think about that. Nobody, I don't know. That lady, maybe she was trained to expect.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to address the lady because I have so many different opinions. And Marion, you and I have covered that. How many times have we had that discussion? But what I am going to say is this, is that when you know that your calling or when your passion or when your mind or your heart says you really want to help somebody, but you don't know how, then you remember and get your mind wrapped around the idea of what is it that you do best or go out there and look at what issues people are having, and do you have that skill to fill it? Right? I believe an entrepreneurial's best mindset is to see a problem and fill it. I'm going to tell you, I want to applaud Marion LaSalle. She is one of those people. I'll say, Marion, so and so is having, boom, Marion either looks it up or she creates a class and boom, she's on it. She's got it filled, right? And she may have only it filled for a few people or a ton of people, or people are still looking for her. But it's the idea that she sees the need and she fills it, right? And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur, right? We see a need.
It's a process.
That's right.
It really is a process. And if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about mindset in the process of my experience. Once again, I'm just telling you my experience. I thought I should give everything away. Okay. And as an entrepreneur, that's bad. Okay. Unless you have somebody, throwing money at you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you need to make it for yourself. So, but I didn't feel maybe worthy. I didn't feel that people would want to pay for my services, or I just wasn't sure. I have good self-esteem, but it was more than that until I took a Reiki class. So I went all the way through, became a Reiki master, and that was really about energy work. Okay. Receiving energy and giving energy and just feeding the world and the people in it and the animals this beautiful, loving energy. And the first thing that teacher taught us stuck with me. She said, Marion, even if you don't charge anything for your services, you must get something back. It's the law, okay? So you have to receive in order to give. You have to give in order to receive. And if you block it up, you know what happens. I talk about this almost every time, don't I? If you block it up and there's like a pond, what's going to happen? The green stuff's going to start growing, isn't it? Because it's stagnant, because it's stopped. There's no flow. So
Right.
Think of what you're giving to the world and what you're receiving. Okay, you need to receive just as much as you give. If you're a good giver, then become a good receiver.
And that's really it. It's a hard thing to get used to. Most people don't know I have a very secret skill.
Hi,
Hey,
Sherry.
Sherry. I have a very secret skill that many people don't know, more than I thought, but not many. And I actually enjoy providing that skill, that blessing. I call it a blessing. Okay. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and she is an entrepreneur, and I've known her going on 6, 7, maybe 8 years. And all of a sudden we were talking, and all of a sudden I said, well, I've never discussed this with you, but I have to give you a message. I have to tell you something that I know is heavy on my mind and on my heart, and I have to give it to you. And so we had that discussion, and we talked about it and went further on. And all of a sudden she sat back and she said, I've always known that there's something different that you have held that I needed. Listen to what her statement was, that I needed. She goes, but I couldn't ever figure out what it is or what it was. She goes, and right now, that's what she said, 8 years later, I now know what it is. And when she said that to me, I thought, isn't that interesting? Isn't that an interesting statement? Right? We've known each other for 8 years. She knew she was drawn to me as I knew I was drawn to her. And it wasn't until I opened my mouth and gave her what was heavy on my heart and my mind that I spilled, right? I call it the vomit, right? And when I do that, somebody needs to be writing very fast or hit the record button, one or the other. And the issue is that we have things deep within inside us that other people need. And unless we are willing to get beyond our fear, get beyond our insecurities, get beyond our doubts, but get beyond our I call it the uncertainty of the next step or the next foot or how to step forward, whatever it is, we never know which one or who specifically will be able to help until we open our mouth, until we share the wisdom and the experience and the life living that we have to give to others.
Now, I know what Melinda is saying is true, and so do you, but maybe you don't know how to do that. Maybe you need some help. Maybe you need a community to support you. And I'm going to recommend that you go over to livingthedreambusiness.com and you look at a way to join the membership, because that's the way you can blossom your entrepreneurial mindset out. Okay, so can you do it alone? Maybe. And yes, you probably can if you put enough time and effort into it. But if you get the support that you need and you find these friends inside the group that you all can work together and do collaborate. You hear us talking about collaboration all the time. If you can work together with the group and get some support, it will make you go faster and it will help you along the line for the rest of your time as you're an entrepreneur, probably even after you retire, because it's a mindset that is learned. It's a mindset that's nurtured. It's not something you can go and just buy a book and get it. Okay. It really is a group mentality, and I highly recommend it.
Well, thank you, Marion. I really do love groups. I love being parts of groups. And, it's funny because I belong to several groups, but one of the groups that I belong to, there is so many times when people put something out there, every now and then I'm like, okay, I didn't get that, folks. That went smooth over my head. Somebody help me with that. I'll just tell them, okay, where did that come from? And when I do that, the interesting part about it is that then I get like, this is a group of over, actually it's a group I think of 12,000 people plus. Okay. And I want you to know that I have a group of people around me that I don't know it until I didn't know it until I asked a question, that literally keep an eye in for me out in the group. They're like, Melinda, I noticed that you were struggling with that the other day, and this is how. I'm like, okay, wait, you knew that I was struggling with it? How did you know that? And it's because they said, well, we were watching your post, or they get to where you have a circle inside. You build within the group, right? You build within the people. What is it they say? All water rises, right? So everybody puts the energy, puts the thought, put the work together. Now all of you are coming up and you're joining the forces.
Yeah, Sherry says there's power in numbers.
Yes, Sherry.
True. And Jeanette is here. Let's see
Hey,
what
Jeanette, how are you?
Absolutely, having and belonging to a tribe is extremely important. And better yet, the right group that pushes you to be more, to be better. Yes.
Yes. Bless his heart. Thank you, Jeanette. I've had a couple of groups and I've been pushing a little bit more, going, okay, folks, y'all can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Because you know what? One of the things that I love to do about people, I look at Marion and I see a magnificent genius. Okay, because I can actually see all the wheels turning and working. And the minute you give her a little issue or a little problem, boom, right? And other people, I see the magnificent piece. Other people, I see, there's different things. I see everybody as a huge, magnificent picture. And I can see what so oftentimes their best talents are and what their strengths are, right? And those are the ones that I say, bring that out. Somebody needs that. You can do this because somebody needs that. I know you have it because I can see the skills. I can hear it in your voice or whatever. So yes, we need somebody who will push us. We need somebody to get us thinking in a certain way, help us. It's like I tell everybody else, it is so much easier to turn the car when it is rolling than to try to make it turn when it is dead stopped.
There you go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us talk about the entrepreneurial mindset, because it is important. And if you don't have it, you need to put the water on it and maybe some grow seeds. You need to nourish it, because it is important. If you want to work for yourself, even part-time, you really do need that mindset. So don't do it alone. Come out to Living the Dream Business and join, and you will be supported.
Yes. And you know what?
We're live here every single week. every Tuesday at 9 o'clock Central Time. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and there's a podcast. If you're driving down the road and all you have is your earbuds or your phone that transfers into the car speakers, you can listen to Living the Dream Business every week. We're here.
You know what? Thank you, Marion. You're tremendous. Everyone, I'm so glad that you're here. We're glad that you come and join us. I can't tell you how important it is to us that you're here with us. Please spread the news. Let's see how we can help each other. Let's collaborate. Let's help each other grow. Right now is the time that we really do need each other more, and we need to bring our talents. We need to help each other go farther than we were before.
That's right.
Thank you. And it's been great seeing you. And come on back anytime you're ready. We're here. We're at Living the Dream. Bye now.